Today, we're going to break down some really powerful teachings from Daniel N.B. Lamptey. He takes this dramatic story from way back when and uses it to shine a light on the kind of power struggles he sees happening all around us today. So let's just jump right in with a big question his analysis brings up from the get-go. What is the real cost when a leader, whether they're in a church or a company, just overstays their welcome? The whole teaching is built around the story of King David. You got to picture this. He's old, he's getting weaker, but he's still clinging to that throne. And Lamptey's point is that this creates a seriously dangerous power vacuum, and when that happens, chaos is pretty much inevitable. And this leadership crisis, well, according to his teaching, it totally sets the stage for this huge conflict between two of David's sons. We're talking two potential successors, and each one represents a completely different kind of authority and a different path forward. So this is where Lamptey really breaks down the two sides. On one hand, you've got Adonijah. He's the ambitious one, the rebel son who decides, you know what, I'm going to crown myself, and he gets all the disloyal people to back him up. But then you've got Solomon, the promised heir, who just patiently waits, supported by the people who are still faithful to the king. Okay, and this is where it gets super relevant for us today. Because for Lamptey, Adonijah isn't just some character in an old story. No, he's actually a symbol of a really dangerous type of leadership that Lamptey sees popping up all over the place. Yeah, he actually coins a term for this, the spirit of Adonijah. And he uses it to describe a specific kind of leadership, this pattern of rebellious, self-appointed authority, where people basically crown themselves, whether it's in politics, business, or church, without any real legitimate mandate. And he lays out some common traits of these, Adonijah leaders. They're usually these really charismatic, power-hungry types, often because they were never really disciplined or corrected. They build a team of other rebels, and they operate on their own authority, not one that's been earned or given. And as he puts it, they tend to attract followers who are easily swayed, who just don't see the red flags. And this is so crucial to his point. It's a straight-up warning against following leaders who just invent their own authority. He calls them breakaway figures, people who build a following not on a true calling, but on their own ambition. And they attract people who just can't tell the difference. But then, on the flip side, he gives us a totally different model for leadership. This is the model of the legitimate successor, and he calls this the spirit of Solomon. So what is the spirit of Solomon? Well, in his teaching, it's all about a leadership that's waited for, that's divinely appointed. It's not something that's seized in a moment of opportunity. It's something that's received at the right time, under the right authority. And this just lays out the contrast so clearly, right? While those Adonijah leaders are all about rebellion and grabbing power, the Solomon-type leaders, well, they're defined by their legitimacy. They have the backing of the faithful, their authority is real, and they trust in God's timing instead of trying to force things. So this all leads to the big "so what" of his teaching. This isn't just about analyzing an old story. It's a real call to action for us, right here, right now, about how we should respond to the same conflict of spirits in our own lives. And Lamptey asks this really sharp, really direct question. He basically puts the choice like this: are you getting your spiritual food from a true, legitimate source, or are you just feasting with some charismatic crowd pleaser who throws a good party but has no real substance behind them? Okay, so what do you do about it? Well, he actually pulls a 3-step process right from the story. First, the threat gets exposed. Then, the faithful, they step up and they pray for God to intervene, just like the prophet Nathan did with King David. And the result? Order gets restored. Now, what's really important to get here is that Lamptey is not saying people should just sit around and do nothing. No way. He believes that active prayer, being an intercessor, is the key to making sure that true, legitimate leaders rise up and that the illegitimate ones get stopped in their tracks. So when you boil it all down, this teaching is a huge challenge for every single one of us. It's a call to look past the charisma, past the noise, to really examine the leaders we choose to follow. And it leaves us with one tough question. Are we backing an ambitious Adonijah, or are we following a promised Solomon?